So with this album, I think as a band, really just got the hang of being a band together. A lot of people might take this for granted, but look, there's 6 people in our band. It's like a 6-way relationship. It can get complicated and messy. All bands kind of go through it, and it's the stuff that you don't really see. And it's the stuff that you deal with in any relationship with your friends, loved one, whatever. But, as cliche as it sounds, it really just comes down to communication. And we've learned how to communicate with one another. I think on the last album, we really started to get the hang of it. So this time around, it was just like we got to create. We had to basically write, record, mix, master. We did everything ourselves, but do all that in about a month and a half. And we were like, I think we can do it, because we were flush with ideas and we just felt so creative. But that paired with the fact that I think we were in a really good place as a band, and everybody was just in a good headspace, allowed it to actually be the most stress-free experience. And it was just fun, which is what all this is supposed to be anyways. The 3-guitar thing, when we write, we're not thinking about 3 guitars. When we write, we're writing compositions, and I just consider myself lucky to have 2 incredible guitarists who I find very inspiring and who have inspired me over the years to push myself, but who also are on the same wavelength. So whenever they come up with ideas, it's always like, oh man, wow, like I wish I'd come up with that. But live, that's where we're like, okay, now we have to bring this to life in a live context. And that's where 3 guitars is extremely useful. We have all sorts of different ways of using it. Sometimes we'll all 3 be playing different parts, and there'll even be different parts on backing tracks. Sometimes we're all playing unison. One really cool thing that I like about 3 guitars is you can have the 2 double-track guitars live on the left and right, and a center guy doing the lead or another part or like counterpoint or something like that. We know that if we get into a room, we'll write stuff and it'll sound like us. So we just focus on the stuff that's interesting to us and whatever new aspects we're getting into. And one of those things for me is this orchestral aspect, because I discovered around this time last year that there's software that can basically emulate it beautifully to where most people can't tell the difference. And I really got into that, and it really sort of reinvigorated my creativity. And then we ended up actually hiring live string players to play over it, in small sections, so that we'd have the size of these huge sampled orchestral sections, but then the real ones over the top to make it sound more unique. I'm actually really happy with this song, Marigold, and it has a lot of orchestral stuff in it. And it ended up being kind of riffy, but I think in sort of a subtle way, which to me is ideal. Like, I never want the technicality of the music to sort of overshadow the music. And I think that song, a lot of people don't realize how intricate the guitar parts are until they actually sit down and try to play them. It actually sounds a lot more simple than it actually is. But that has some cool moments on the guitar, and some challenging moments. The end of that song was composed entirely for the orchestra, or for the string section rather. And I was like, oh, maybe it'd be cool to double this with the guitar, which was a terrible idea, because I was just composing it just from what sounded good, but a lot of this stuff is kind of difficult on guitar. It's not moves I'm used to. So Mark and I play that live, and it's probably one of the things we've had to practice the most. It's just getting that right, because it's just not any moves that are really conducive to shapes that we're used to, and it's fast.